It's best not to think of Alan Wake as a horror game or as a cinematic game, two categories that it is closely associated with. It makes use of horror stylings, and as expected of a game by the creators of Max Payne, it does have an effective character-driven story.
After Zane had gone, I stood alone in the shifting dream that was the dark place.
But ultimately, it's a linear action game that will probably best be enjoyed by people who go into it with that expectation. Alan Wake can't be a horror game because it's too predictable. This is best demonstrated in the build-up to each battle. It looks like a horror game, the air gets hazy and dark, there is a hiss with a rising tone elevating the tension, and dark figures emerge, sometimes from behind you, though the camera always reveals where they are coming from. This happens every time. Almost every encounter is telegraphed in the same way, giving you a comfortable warning of what is coming. That consistency is antithetical to horror. Alan Wake can't be a cinematic game because it's too devoted to its combat encounters. Though there are cutscenes at the start and end of each episode and the occasional non-combat scenario, massive stretches of this game consist of only encounter after encounter with few unique actions or story-driven sequences to break up that action. But despite these apparent shortcomings, it's okay. When you take Alan Wake for what it is, a linear action game, it comes out alright. In combat, the important thing is crowd control. I didn't get that at first. Don't keep the flashlight focused on enemies, just focus quickly with a button tap to stagger them, and then turn and do the same thing to another enemy. Let your passive flashlight beam do most of the de-darking work. The game's pretty easy if you play it like this. The mistake I was making was thinking I should focus the light on one enemy until that enemy was dead, but this drains your flashlight way too quickly, and meanwhile other enemies decide to flank you, throw knives at you. Alan just doesn't have the moves to deal with that. I was tearing my hair out in the early fights until I realised I was playing it wrong. Now I think the combat's pretty fun, it's simple, but it has a lot of good points. With the trigger press you can stagger almost any enemy. A rising pitch signifies your light is weakening the enemy until your shield vanishes in a flash of light. When an enemy dies, they sizzle like the vampires in Blade. A flashbang bypasses the need to drain the enemy of their darkness at all, and it has a wide range, but it doesn't harm you, making it one of the most effective grenades in the history of games. The dodge has a huge timing window, and the game slows dramatically when you use it to avoid an attack. Finally, when the last enemy dies, the game slows and brightens momentarily and you hear a rush of sound like a metaphorical deflation of tension. All these actions felt good from the start of the game right to the end. Even if the frequency of encounters is a little high and the variety a little low, the game feel is top notch. Add to that exceptional environment design, exceptional lighting effects, and you get a pretty damn fun experience, even in 2023, as long as you have the right expectations.